Good morning, everybody, and welcome to yet another Sibos. This is one attempt that we have at fueling innovation into the industry. Swift has been very successful, the community, the company, for many years, but we need to innovate. As an industry, we must innovate. As a company, we must change the way we operate. Not only messaging will become free at some point, security will become pervasive, and delivery or quality of service will be guaranteed in the world of networks, but also there are new challenges for the banking community, for the financial institutions in the market, and we want to be part of that innovation. And we want that innovation not to be at the edges with new, cute retail solutions. We want innovation mainstream, innovation at the center of the financial institutions. And that's why we have a team that is shaking the tree. And I'm sure that you all have teams that shake the tree within your institutions, but are their voices heard? In our minds, the best way to get those voices to be heard is to get you with the bug, to get you involved and to get you interested in the type of innovation that we talk around here. So for us, innovation is at the center of our Swift 2015 strategy. It is at the center of what Swift wants to become. Strategic risk and innovation go hand in hand.
What I want to focus on in my 15 minutes is that we have to stop thinking about technology, but we have to start focusing on behavior. And behavior is radically different. 20 years ago, the majority of the internet traffic was file transfer. 10 years ago, the majority of the internet traffic was web. And today, the majority of the internet traffic is now peer-to-peer communication, Facebook, and especially video. Now, that's interesting from a technological point of view, but even more interesting is it from a behavior point of view. 2005, people wake up at 6 o'clock, they go to work, use the internet, come home, and 5 years ago, they watched TV. Now, 5 years later, people wake up, go to work, use the internet, come home, and then massively log on. That is a totally change in behavior and a total focus that is changing. We have spent the last 20 years becoming digital in our companies. A lot of people think we've now arrived in a digital society, and I say, no, we're only halfway there. But what happens is once we cross the halfway point, the glass becomes more half full than half empty, and digital becomes a normality. If you look at the intake of information, people want less and less information. The voluntary intake of information goes to zero. But at the same time, what we see is the depth. If people want more information, they want to be able to zoom down at infinite detail. And at the same time, what we see is if we want to do this intelligently, we have to move intelligence in our organizations to an almost real-time environment. The future is about big data, about being able to capture weak signals, and to do that in real time. That will be a significant challenge going forward. So once we get into the normal, we have new rules. The first rule is very simple. Once digital becomes a normality, there is a zero tolerance for digital failure. Rule number 2 is it doesn't have to be perfect. MP3 is good enough technology. Netbooks are good enough technology. In the old normal, we aimed for perfection. In the new normal, velocity is more important than perfection. Rule number 3, in digital, we can measure everything, but at the same time, rule number 4, we have to abandon absolute control. So, in conclusion, it's not about digital anymore, it's about being clever. It's not about technology anymore, it's about technology-enabled innovation. If you see how we will interface, communicate, collaborate in the next couple of years, it is mind-bogglingly beautiful. But if we don't have an IT department that is going to be responsive to that exciting phase, you're not going to survive as companies, and we won't have these wonderful sessions at Sibos anymore.
We've built this incredible infrastructure over the last 50 plus years, if I think about how banking and financial services works, and it's incredible how much it changes. You know, people look at banks as dinosaurs and people that are slow, but I don't really think about it that way at all. We tend to centralize IT. That's the craziest thing I ever heard of, right? Don't we want IT and our technology people as close to the customer as possible? Don't we want them actually talking to customers, even if we're nerds? Right? Because it's only when you're by your customer who are adopting these tools and then adapting and changing. And if you're not close to your customer, you're just going to miss it. And that seems very important to me. One thing we haven't heard anyone talk about too much yet is security and trust, which is very important to financial services. And you think about how that works, right? A little bit of trust change and suddenly there's a financial crisis or something happens, right? Because it really is built by how all that stuff fits together. And you think about who knows better around security and trust, because isn't it people like the banks who've been doing it for hundreds of years? So here's my cash register. Here's my payment device right now. I don't need fancy networks. I don't need fancy things sitting on my computer. Particularly if I'm a small business, I put my cash register software in this thing. I'm paying with this. It's an amazing time where we can take these things and think just a little bit different and take a lot of what we've known and build up over the years and all the trust and build something that's going to add so much value to our customers and so much value to how commerce works and how businesses work. I mean, that's kind of why it is so exciting to be in the now and thinking about tomorrow. Thanks.
If I could distill it down into one main concept or takeaway, it's that there is a class of young, intelligent, creative, passionate people who have become disillusioned with the debt-based monetary system and are busy creating new infrastructures right now that are allowing a peer-to-peer, commons-based economy to emerge in parallel to what currently exists. And the foundation of this economy is based on trust and on transparency and on the ability of distributed networks to self-organize. And now with the web as a grounds for experimentation, we're learning new ways to link unmet needs with unused resources, to innovate, to generate value together, and to build resilient communities. And I think that this is the prototype of the future, and I think there's some really interesting opportunities for partnership here.